Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to Nerds Tube's Wrestling Roundtable. We're going to be talking about all the wrestling events that matter at this particular moment in time, and I'm here with my usual cohorts. First of all, Jim Cornshed, how you doing?
Glad to be here, Sam. I do apologize. I'm getting a bit of feedback here. There we go. That's dealt with. So, yeah, I'm glad to be here. This is going to be more a discussion about the state of professional wrestling in the current day and age. Whereas not so much a recap of the events that have been going on recently, but just more a discussion about the state of pro wrestling as it stands right now. So right now, if we just kick things off a little bit, just to set the tone a bit, Jim Cornette cut a promo on Raw in 1997 where he said that the state of pro wrestling in 1998 stinks. He thought WCW stinks, he thought the NWO stinks, he thought ECW was embarrassing, and he thought the WWF stinks. You could pretty much reuse those same words to discuss pro wrestling today. So you've got the WWE, which right now it's not great. It stinks. AEW stinks. Impact has been a joke for it's nearly 20 years in existence. Ring of Honor has never been able to break out into the mainstream, and it probably is the one company putting on the best product in North America right now. The NWA, not a lot of people are going to see it because it's pay-per-view. You've got to pay $5 a month to watch it. So it's more just really a discussion of how the wrestling business is now, with the fact that the viewership is at an all-time low, where we see the positives and negatives in the business today, and what's really going wrong, what can actually be done potentially to improve it. Is there potential to improve it? So that's what we really want to discuss today.
Okie dokie. Jose, welcome back, my friend. How you doing? He who remains.
Yo, I'm doing all right. Yeah, for those of you that watch Loki, I know you get the reference. Yeah, I've been.
Oh, yeah, we all do.
Yep.
Yeah. But you people say you look like Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
Is that why you're doing that?
Yep.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, he's a good-looking man, and his fame is going to be catapulting, and maybe you can get a job as a lookalike in the future. Gary, maybe. The franchise and the icon. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, I do continue to watch wrestling because, again, I love it. I think that people get too negative about the business sometimes because, like, if it's not the way that they personally like it, it's got to be. So again, I do think there's good things about the business. I do think there's bad things that can be improved, and I think that if they focus on the positives and get rid of the negatives, it could be one of the things where it could come back. It's just one of those things that it just has to naturally happen. I think that it'll take maybe a WWE or an AEW or an ROH or an Impact or whoever just getting hold of something in the culture, and just because again, UFC had it for a little bit, but I think that because it's real quote unquote fights, you can't count the fight lasting for 25 minutes. Sometimes it's like 2 seconds because somebody punches somebody out. Cooler than anything. But I do think there's good things about that.
Okay, I want to kick things off actually, because I am in the different category to you three. I'm no longer a wrestling fan. I just cannot get back into it for love or money, and a lot of it is to do with the fact that the product I find to be very stale, very predictable, very. I don't want to say necessarily corporate, but there's definitely a lot of politics involved amongst certain wrestlers. For me, not having things being predictable is not a good thing for me, which is one of the reasons why I stopped watching wrestling. Just WWE obviously being, it's been mentioned many times, saying it's catered for an audience of one, is also a problem as well. Just insulting my intelligence sometimes with some of the way they do certain things. Even like little things like, like for instance, prior to Edge versus Roman Reigns, I saw a quick something on YouTube or on the internet where Edge put Roman Reigns into a crippler crossface, and he used that part of the chair over his mouth as he was pulling on him. I instantly knew after seeing that that Edge was good to lose to Roman Reigns in the pay-per-view. I mean, just instantly. I mean, because even as a wrestling fan, I just understand how shit works. And it's, like Edge is going to look strong here. Roman Reigns is going to obviously get the victory in the pay-per-view. And these things just happen too fucking often. Very rarely have I been surprised. I think the first time Batista fought John Cena was it SummerSlam?
I think it's Royal Rumble.
SummerSlam.
That they had. I think it was Royal Rumble. I think because
I mean, I think he means a proper one-on-one match.
Right. Yeah.
SummerSlam
That was
2008. Yeah.
That was for me. That was an excellent match because it felt like just the way Batista won it as well. Like he made fucking Cena his bitch near the end of that match. It was fucking great, and I didn't see it coming. And that was very refreshing and stuff like that. Those sort of moments are just too few and far between. There is a hierarchy. Don't like the fact that there's people have to be at the top, and then you see people there's a mid card and shit like that, and nobody in the mid card could ever get to the top. And if they do, they're getting that push or they're getting demoted. Like when you see that with Shinsuke, that Nakamura when he was at the top, and next because his English is not so great, I just instantly knew that he was never going to get very far in the business. All these things are so fucking predictable. It's just like I just can't stand this business anymore. And then you got somebody like someone so horrible in Vince McMahon running things. I just feel morally obliged not to fucking keep watching this thing just because he's such a despicable human being. I just there's so many reasons why I don't watch it. Even when AEW came along, I didn't give a fuck. But I already stopped watching wrestling. I didn't give a fuck about AEW. I wasn't interested in it. I'm done with the business. So how can someone like me ever get back into the business? Ever opportunity for me to get back into it when I don't give a fuck about any of it? When I watch it now and again, I roll my fucking eyes. I think to myself, I can't believe I wasted decades of my life on this shit. Anyway, Shred, I'll pass it on to you now.
Well, yeah, I think the fact that the McMahons tended to book themselves heavily as heels, and they didn't know when to stop. So Stephanie McMahon would effectively emaciate wrestlers. She would verbally emaciate them. She'd slap them. She would slap them on camera, verbally berate them. Obviously, these guys have got no chance of comeback. They're not going to be hitting her with a finishing move. They've not got a valet who's going to come in and beat crap out of Stephanie on their behalf. They're not going to get a comeback of any sorts. And obviously that just makes the guys look weak and stupid, and it almost as well feels like they're telling you you're stupid for watching this. We don't give a damn what you think. So yeah, they've even said that in promos, we don't give a damn what the audience thinks, which again, I think is stupid. I actually like the old philosophy, which is that either your official, your top backstage official, whether it's real or kayfabe, should be either neutral or a babyface on the fan side. So again, I think William Regal is the general manager of NXT is probably the best example of that right now today. You had J.J. Dillon in WCW. He was another great example of that. Bob Armstrong at Smoky Mountain. Jim Cornette at TNA. There's plenty of examples of how this is done right. And unfortunately, when the company is the heel, it just makes you think, well, why bother?
I just want to quickly interject before I pass it on to others. I'm not a fan of the heel and face dynamic anymore. I think it's really fucking stupid. Considering we know what wrestling is, back in the day, it made sense when kayfabe was still alive and strong. But nowadays, when the cat's out the bag, I just feel that trying to make us hate somebody who's supposed to be the bad guy, well, it doesn't work. And when they are really good as a bad guy, like when Daniel Bryan was started off as a heel within the WWE and prior to his match with Sheamus at WrestleMania and all of that shit, people were really appreciating how good he was as a bad guy. So when you're really good as a bad guy, you actually like him more. Go on, Sherda.
Well, I was going to say, the babyface and heel dynamic can work if done well. I mean, the best heel for my money right now, well, the best two heels, I would say, Roman Reigns on SmackDown and MJF at AEW. For my money, are pound for pound the best heels in the business. They are guys who you want to hate, you want to boo them.
I don't know.
You do get guys who are so good that that it gets to the point you will cheer them no matter what. Steve Austin was one of those. The Rock was one of those. Hulk Hogan even got people cheering for him when he was the leader of the NWO. So it does happen. But again, when it's done well, it's superb, and it's wrestling at its purest.
Go on, boss man.
Well, I think it depends how it's done, because the thing that wrestling, well, especially AEW and WWE, are missing is what Shredder was just talking about, is that authority figure, whether it be like a Ric Flair or because the thing is that AEW has it perfectly positioned, because you have literally one of the biggest draws ever in Sting. He literally could be a figure who was an authority figure. You know, like, I mean, his wrestling days are coming to an end, if they shouldn't be already. But literally, he'll be over with the fans because they all respect him, because he's like NWA, you know, WCW, you know, United States champion, you know, had all these matches with Ric Flair and Vader and all these other people. So literally, he has if not him, then Anderson or something like that, or Tully Blanchard, or maybe both of them. But somebody who is an authority figure and says, right, this is where we're going, this is who we're doing. And then you need to, then that picks up, because again, if someone goes against Sting, Sting has literally, like, you know, is still one of the biggest wrestling names out there. People care about what he does. And WWE have it as well, because they've got loads of people on legend contracts. Surely they could pull one of those guys in and have them be the authority figure. So the thing is, what Roman Reigns is doing at the moment, as Shredder was saying, is great, because like he has Paul Heyman, he has the Uso brothers, he has everything. He has the acknowledge me thing. You know, he is this really great guy, but he doesn't have a foil. Or if he does have a foil, he'll immediately be destroyed by a stupid segment literally 2 minutes afterwards. Like, literally, like, he was doing this, and I've got a great example of this. At the last pay-per-view, like, he was doing this really awesome storyline with the Uso brothers about, you know, like, you got to start, you know, stepping up to the mark, and it's this, like, really big family thing. Then the next segment was the bit with Bobby Lashley, like, he looks like he's taking a shit, and literally, like, and then you see, like, Alexa Bliss coming in behind him, and literally ruins that really poignant moment. So literally, it's about how you structure your show. You can't make it all serious. You can't just have some jokey piece of shit. Yeah, there's room for jokes and stuff like that, but keep it separate for the main stuff.
So before I pass on to you, Jose, I just want to quickly go back. As the same regarding the heel and face dynamic, can't just the fans decide who they want to cheer for? You know, do they have to be forced to say, okay, this is the baby face, so we're going to cheer for him, and have to boo the bad guy? Can't we just say, okay, I like this guy, I like how he operates in the ring? And regarding the character of the person, it could just be their attitude. So Roman Reigns is a badass right now, and that's his attitude, you know, and that's how he is. And if people like him for being like that, he should get cheered for it. Or if they don't like him, they get booed for it. But he should get both receptions from the fans, depending on how they feel about him. You know, instead of just making him a straight out heel and somebody else to be a straight out good guy. But I've always hated the fact that I'm supposed to like somebody because they're good and supposed to hate somebody because they're bad, especially in this day and age when shit like that is just so irrelevant. But Jose, what do you want to say?
Well, God damn it, pal. I'm going to tell you why that's not going to work, because I'm Vince McMahon and I got to be forceful with my audience. God damn it. I've trained them to be this way. That's the mentality in WWE, and it's always the mentality. I'm going to make it work because I'm going to make it work. God damn it. And this is why, the audience should get to decide, like, who they cheer for and who they boo. But I think Vince has always been way too fucking forceful on his audience. That's my view. And with the McMahons, you know, they've been overstayed their welcome, in my view, as far as authority figures. Oh, the chat.
So excellent
All
one,
right.
bro. Bandits, excellent.
So
you go on, Jose. I apologize.
Yeah, as far as the authority figure thing goes, I don't know if you can really get people to believe in authority figures anymore, because you've seen Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, Steph McMahon, Linda McMahon, Mick Foley, William Regal, Sergeant Slaughter. Who all else do you need to have as authority?
John Laryngitis.
Yeah, John Laryngitis. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you really can believe in authority figures anymore. I think that what WWE needs to do is I think they should go back to just calling them like WWE officials or some shit. Because I think when you have authority figures take up too much time, it takes away from the show after a while. That's just my view.
Oh yeah. The great authority figures were never like the focal point of the show. They were always there for like maybe 1-2 segments. So they were there to sort like a big dispute. They were there to sort like a one big dispute or 1 or 2 big disputes between a heel and a babyface,
Right,
and that was it. And they were on the side of the fans the whole time.
Yeah, that's until at least Vince came in, and then they started doing the thing with he and Austin, and it worked for at least the first couple of years that they feuded. And then after Austin and Vince kind of concluded their angle back then, I know we're not supposed to really get nostalgic, but after Austin and Vince concluded their angle, that should have been it. But what are you going to do?
But the thing
nowadays,
is,
I think they rely a lot on authority figure.
the thing is that it could work if, like, let's say, for example, the guy just comes out straight first bits of right. This is the matches that I've made today. This is what you're going to see, and then they go away, and then they do that. Then again, it starts in the fan's mind that this guy's just there making matches. And he's there if, as Fred was just saying, if things go a bit sideways. So, and plus, if it's somebody from, like, as I said, the WWE legends, I'm trying to think, like, a Sergeant Slaughter could do it. I'm trying to think of like the $1 Million Man, that Ted DiBiase could do it. Somebody who has credibility within that fan base. Who's like, as I said, like, I mean, Austin wouldn't do it, but like an Austin or something like that. Like, somebody who has credibility with that fan base.
I think that's another thing too, is the fact that you have to have these damn 20-minute promos. It's like, do we really have to have? Let me ask you guys: do we really need 20-minute promos to open off every show?
Scripted promos, no.
We don't.
Actual promos, yes.
And no, they don't need to be 20 minutes long. I mean, Jim Cornette was able to do it in 3. Ric Flair could get across what he wanted to in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, because
what about fan shredder?
What about
like trying to? What?
One of my favorite Ric Flair ones is about like 5 minutes long, which was the one where he does the, either this with scaling, so the run and a hard time keeping these skaters down. That's about 5 minutes long.
That's what I'm saying. The promos can just be 5 minutes. You don't need to have like a 20-minute drawn out promo in the middle of the ring or a talk show segment every fucking 2 segments. You don't need to. What you again, if you've got guys who can talk, somebody like a Ric Flair or a Roddy Piper or even a Randy Savage or a Hulk Hogan, give them 5 minutes at best. Here's your bullet points. Go talk about them.
Hit me with it. Go. Yeah, like hit me with it and let's get it done. Because I don't want to have like Triple H and Stephanie come out and be like, we're going to give you what you want. You're the authority, blah, 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 blah. We know we haven't done a good job, et cetera, et cetera. Just say, you know what? Here's your matches for tonight. We're going to hit you with this, this, and this, and let's get the fucking show rolling. That's right. I think I would start with. WWE.
Just on Sam's point, though, I do still think, when it comes to wrestling, I think you still do need baby faces and heels. Now, the UFC does kind of prove this to a degree because you can put any 2 fighters you want in the main event of a card. You give me Conor McGregor and Khabib, and I'm going to watch that because you've got Conor McGregor, who's a complete heel. He threw that dolly through the bus window, and you've got Khabib, who seems like the ultimate good guy. He seems like a really nice, down to earth guy who's just there to be the best that he can. And I'm interested in that fight. You've put God, there's a UFC DVD I actually won in a competition for a magazine. It was the main event was Tim Sylvia versus Jeff Monson. You put those 2 together, I don't really give a toss. You've got to give me a reason to want to see this guy get his ass kicked or this guy win the title.
I just think it's the thing that they don't do anymore is build, because they just rush shit all over the shop. It's like they just brought John Cena back. They could have teased, is he coming back? Is he not coming back for a while? And then when he comes back, it explodes. But again, it was just there to be a quote unquote surprise.
We can discuss that a little later on, because I think later on we'll be bringing up AEW's one of their more recent bookings. But if we can move on a bit, what I wanted to bring up is the fact that really this drought, when it comes this decline in wrestling, it seems mostly confined to American pro wrestling. Because if you look at Japan, you look at Mexico, their territories are still, well, their big territories at least, are still going fairly strong. They're still able to retain the audience who used to watch back in the day. Japan, in their case, guys who used to watch Antonio Inoki and Giant Baba, they're still retaining those fans. They're not driving them off in droves like WWE is and like numerous other American promotions have. And that's a shame. And it's there's more companies in America on television than there were during the height of the Monday Night Wars. Because if you remember, there were WCW, there was the WWF, and there was ECW. Now you've got WWE, which has got 3 complete brands of its own. You have got AEW, you have got Impact, and you have got Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has a large broadcast range, being that they're owned by Sinclair Broadcast Group. Sinclair puts them on every single one of their affiliate networks. And unfortunately, Ring of Honor has been a victim of, I would say, underinvestment.
Let me.
Okay. You want to cut in, Jose? Please do.
You could out a little bit now.
That there's do you think it's oversaturated? Like too much, companies,
No.
too much.
No, because the fans left in droves when WCW closed down. Those fans didn't disappear because of oversaturation. They just went away and never came back.
But here's what I think. There is still fans in the South in America because again, because the WCW fans didn't go away. They actually went to TNA. That's the reason TNA was doing all that stuff in Orlando where the WCW fan base still is and stuff like that. And again, a lot of the fans went to get behind AEW as well because AEW's viewership on its first couple of shows was like 1 million, 2 million, and it hasn't even approached that sense. So this shows it is nothing to do. It's with the product you're putting on. Because again, the more eyes you get on it is when you put a good product out. It's like when you make a good film. A good film will always get more good attention than bad ones will.
No, I'm going to disagree with you there. That TNA did not attract the WCW fan. That was Jeff Jarrett's goal. Jeff and Jerry Jarrett, when they set up TNA, their goal was to get the lost WCW fans. Now, WCW was still getting 1.5 million viewers every week for Nitro against the WWF, even in its dying days. TNA wasn't getting that. It was rare they ever even got close to 1 million viewers on Spike TV. Even with coverage on Spike TV.
I just want to quickly add, but I can talk about this a little bit. But here's something I'm not sure if they got many views. Maybe initially when Hogan came in, they might have just got a bit of interest views. But after a while, once he made it, into his personal friendship fest, with all his old fucking buddies, he fucking ruined the company, in my opinion. I used to actually love TNA until Hogan came along, and then once he came along, it was over for me. But I just want to quickly tell you guys about when wrestling kind of ended for me.
Okay,
it was to do with Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan was being pushed to the moon by the fans, and you saw that, and also going back to what you said regarding authority figures and Austin and Vince McMahon, Jose, I would say that Daniel Bryan versus the McMahon family, which was more legitimate, more real, and was not even kayfabe, was far more interesting to see. Was the McMahon family going to buckle under the pressure of the fans regarding Daniel Bryan, who was obviously the fans' champion? They were pushing him, and when he finally won, I was so fucking happy. I was loving wrestling, actually. Then he got injured, and he was no longer on the shows anymore. I was deflated beyond belief. Because finally somebody the fans genuinely wanted, somebody which the WWE would find very hard to market. I mean, not hard to market, but as far as they're concerned, they would find him hard to market, which is probably one of the reasons why they never wanted to push him. Plus, he's a small guy and all that sort of shit. But the fans fucking demanded that he would be the main guy, and he got the main guy position. Then he got injured. I was deflated, and that's when I was done with wrestling. I know he came back, but it was never really the same. And yeah, that was me done, unfortunately.
Well, I think that what AEW is doing at the moment with signing Daniel Bryan and CM Punk is good for them. Because again, here's two guys, whether you like them or not, and I know CM Punk could be a bit of a knob. is like getting eyes on the product, because the thing is, people like CM Punk, people like Bryan Danielson. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say that Bryan Daniel Bryan anymore. I'm sorry, his name Bryan Danielson, right? People will watch those guys because they're talented guys at what they do. The problem that I see with WWE is, again, WWE does a lot of things right. Its production is beyond great. The way that it produces people and makes them look like a star is beyond great, because it takes guys that maybe, like, even if you've not heard of them, even if you're not maybe the biggest fan on NXT, you kind of get a sense of who they are. Like when they brought up Karrion Kross onto the main roster, that the way they produced him, they showed all of his highlights for NXT. They had him have this amazing entrance video with the clock and all that sort of stuff. That was great. The fact he lost was bollocks, but we'll get into that. But that's to do. They elevate a guy and they immediately shoot themselves in the foot by having him lose. It's like, no, have him win. Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say, yeah, the production is absolutely superb. I mean, yes, they can put together a great highlight package. Say this is this new guy coming up. The WWE fans, they largely do follow NXT. They do know who Karrion Kross is, but the problem is, outside of professional wrestling, there are no stars in the business anymore. You mention to anybody at your workplace, Bobby Lashley, they don't know who the hell you're talking about. You mentioned Stone Cold Steve Austin, you mentioned The Rock, you mentioned John Cena even, don't know who you're talking about. There are no big stars left in the business. The last one, really, Brock Lesnar, and more people remember him for UFC.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like when they were going to Saudi Arabia and shit, all they wanted was the Attitude Era guys, for fuck's sake.
Oh, no, not even just the Attitude Era guys. Remember, they wanted Yokozuna despite the fact he was dead.
Yeah, they wanted
Ultimate Warrior.
I also do think that WWE does really, really well, or has been doing really well, has been like pushing Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns has been champion now for, I think, more or less a year. I think, actually, no, it's over a year. Actually, I think it's over here. I think it's like 400 something days. He's been champion, and that's what you want. You want a dominant heel champion that the guys are chasing. And the thing is that's one of the few booking decisions I hate using. I think that has been put onto someone else. That's been put onto Heyman, because I know that Heyman's a big Roman Reigns fan, and I mean they become closer when he's been advocating for him and stuff like that. And the thing is that the way that they do the promos now, where it's Heyman talking for him and Roman Reigns will say some stuff, and what he says has gravity now. Again, I've gotten fully behind the Roman Reigns. I hate saying the word character, but behind the guy, because I actually believe it now. I believe he's this chieftain, Samoan badass dick that they promote, that they show him in. But it's the only one that I actually credibly believe. And Roman Reigns, I do believe, is a star.
But the thing is, if only about 1.8 million people are tuning into Raw, and maybe about, I think, 1.6 million are tuning into SmackDown every week, how big of a star is he really?
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that the way that they're pushing him...
Oh, yeah, they push him as a star. But, again, if you're not being seen by a wide audience, then, it depends. And how long is it going to be before Vince McMahon looks at the ratings and says, okay, well, we've not broken 2 million with Roman Reigns as champion. We've pushed him for about a year. Okay, who are we going to move on to next?
Yeah, but that's because that's the wrong mentality from Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon could put anybody next. He could fucking put the belt around John Cena again. It won't fucking matter. Because I just think that those days are done. Cena coming back is just obviously Vince McMahon desperate and rolling. It's just desperate as well, and wanting to get maybe some people to come back and watch again who are big fans of John Cena, but he's not the answer. He's not the future.
But what WWE does a lot is undercuts itself, because they'll do stuff that's really right. Like, for example, with the female division, they focus on the right people. They put it on like Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch before she got pregnant. I know that Jim Cornette isn't a big Asuka fan, but she's actually a really, really good wrestler. People like trying to think who else, Camilla's got a better, I think, and all that sort of stuff. Then all of a sudden they'll switch you, and just to make it a shock, they'll put it on somebody who literally is stealing Molly Holly's old superhero gimmick when she used to be with the Hurricane. I'm much like, really, we're doing this again. It's like, and again, nothing against Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross is an amazing female wrestler. Just that she should not be champion with this gimmick, in my opinion.
I was going to bring that up. The fact that you talk about the fact that the women's wrestling, that's a positive in my book, actually. The women's wrestling, at least from WWE, is a massive step up. It's a huge improvement what it used to be in the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era, women's wrestling was a joke. I mean, I haven't heard in at least 10 years the words bra and panties, diva pillow fight, or bikini contest. That I'm quite glad that it's no longer on WWF television or WWE television. But here's the thing. They have two legitimate women who look like movie stars. They could potentially be action movie stars in Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. And what's the focus of the women's division on? Alexa Bliss and the supernatural crap. Or Nikki Cross in this superhero outfit.
I love Charlotte Flair.
Nia Jax and her male manager, Reginald.
My whole... as I said, but I think Asuka's in that mix as well. Where she's got charisma. She's obviously a very talented person. I don't care what Jim Cornette says. And the thing is that Asuka is a very talented person. She's not as she's told those two, no, but she does have charisma about her. She has something.
Does she speak English?
She speaks it okay. I mean, she actually has
not enough, though, is it? I mean, Shinsuke can actually speak English, but his accent's so strong that it's held him back a bit. If you can't speak English in this game,
you can't connect to the wide audience.
Yeah, and you can't do the promos and stuff like that. Then you're not going to get very far, unfortunately. No, and don't get me wrong, I don't think that should be a barrier, not being able to talk, but unfortunately, it is.
In this form of entertainment, absolutely it is. I mean, you are trying to connect with an audience, and if an audience member, they can think you're absolutely great in the ring, and Asuka is phenomenal. She's absolutely phenomenal as a wrestler. But if you've no heater for her, you've no manager to talk for her, and she can't communicate to you, then you do lose the connection.
Yes, and Sasha Banks as well. Sasha Banks is really good. And the thing is that but the thing is, as I said, it just took the side turn with having Nikki ASH as a champion. Now, look, I love Nikki Cross. As I said, I think she's an amazing female wrestler, but this gimmick is a ridiculous gimmick. I'm sorry, it'd be like the Hurricane being world champion. It's just like, what, why? And also, a good thing that Raw is doing is having Lashley as its champion, with his lightning entrance and everything. The only negative is that they're bringing a 55-year-old man to wrestle him. And again, I don't know people suck off Goldberg. Look, Goldberg is actually a pretty decent wrestler. But then at 55, how mobile is he going to be?
He just feels like he's filling in now. There's no... Okay, he's going to have his match with Bobby Lashley, and then he'll probably lose. And then he'll disappear again.
But what's next for Bobby Lashley? I mean, why not use Goldberg to elevate somebody as Bobby Lashley's next challenger?
I personally think they made a mistake in making John Cena fight Roman Reigns. They should have made John Cena focus on Lashley, because Lashley hasn't beaten Cena the last time they fought. That was a long time ago, and I thought maybe Lashley owes, if Lashley wants to get that credibility, beating Cena is it, in my opinion.
Well, since they can't get Brock Lesnar, apparently he's not interested.
So, Jose, we're talking over you, man.
Jose,
what do you think of all this?
I think as far as the women's division today goes, the kids today are by far the better athletes. But the thing that WWE does is they're about moments. The days of long-term planning are long gone. I don't think we're getting those days back. Nikki Cross winning the title, Nikki Ash, whatever her name is, it was purely for the moment. It was just to pop a rating because, that's what they're about. They're about like, if we can go ahead and get a moment out of this, that's what we're going to do. Are we going to care about this shit in 6 months? No. Are we going to remember it in 6 months? Probably not. No. Most likely, no. I think with WWE, that's their formula. It's like, we're about moments. We're not about giving you stuff you're going to, talk about a long time from now, because there is no long-term plan within WWE anymore. I think as far as the WWE title picture, Universal title picture, yeah, Cena versus Lashley is what I would have done. And then Goldberg and Reigns is what I would have done on the other side, since we were supposed to get Goldberg and Reigns anyway, and we still haven't gotten it yet, to my knowledge.
But they've just brought Finn Balor back up to
But,
SmackDown as well, and you've got an instant storyline there over the fact that he's going to challenge now for a belt he never lost, the Universal title.
And also, a
Yeah.
good thing is that before we get into the negatives, because I've got to bring up a really big one, is that we have Big E Langston who can challenge for either title. I personally would rather he challenged for the one Lashley holds, because the thing is that Bobby Lashley should not have had a squash match on the last pay-per-view against Kofi Kingston. That was a joke. That was beyond a joke. I know people can say, well, he said, well, Kofi Kingston wasn't world champion in the recent memory. Like last year or something. You know, it's not like it was that long ago.
It would make sense if you had Big E, though, go to face Lashley, because it's like, okay, dude, you fucked up my comrade, you fucked up my friend, now I'm going to come back and kick your ass. But they most likely won't go there. They'll probably have Big E cash in on Roman.
Okay.
Maybe at SummerSlam, or maybe cash in on Goldberg, but we'll see where they go with it.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Right, well, just in case anyone thinks that we are just being completely negative, I do actually have a list of some positives in the business. I've already mentioned women's wrestling, again, is far, far better than it was back in the day, and it's come leaps and bounds. We're away from the whole era where Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, Dawn Marie were the ones pushed on television. And again, I think the focus away from that kind of stuff really sort of went away around about the end of 2008, 2009. It was gone entirely, not by 2015, but I think by 2013, when AJ Lee did the infamous Pipe Bombshell promo, where she cut a promo on the cast of Total Divas. That's one of the best promos in the last 10 years.
You can see why she married CM Punk. I mean, they
absolutely.
Both
Absolutely.
done one.
As I said, I love the fact that the women's division is now focusing on wrestling. And again, they've got some fantastic women on that roster: Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair. It's just unfortunate they then moved the focus on to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Ash. I'm supposed to call her now instead of Nikki Cross. Other positives I can think of, I like the fact that there is at least an alternative now for guys to make decent money outside of WWE. Now, Impact, they had a women's champion, Taylor Wilde, working at Sunglasses Hut, but a fan spotted her there and recognized her that she quit. She just left the business. Awesome Kong couldn't afford to run a car the first time she was with Impact. And Jesse Neal apparently qualified for food stamps while he was there.
Yeah,
AEW at least provides guys to actually make a proper steady living. And I mean, Ring of Honor, although, you could get steady work there if you were good and the audience embraced you, it wasn't anywhere near as successful as it is now. I mean, it wasn't somewhere that you could work exclusively. You would still have to take indie dates to try and make ends meet. And it wasn't that way until, I think, maybe about 2 years after the Sinclair buyout.
And also, I think that's what AEW does do well. I mean, I know we're going to get into stuff it doesn't do as well, is give people who maybe wouldn't be given a platform, like people like an MJF, a Jungle Boy, there's some people that it gives a platform.
Are you reading my sheet, boss man? Because that was actually my next point. I was actually going to point out that it's now giving some new talent more exposure and potential to grow and develop. And I was going to list guys like Ricky Starks, MJF, and Jungle Boy.
But the thing is that I can compare a little bit to what WWE is doing with like Damien Priest and all that sort of stuff. It is promoting them a little bit. It's just maybe like, as I said, because Jungle Boy is going to fight Kenny Omega for the championship, which is something I'm looking forward to. And the thing that I do like is that, you know, it is giving guys who maybe wouldn't have been given like a WWE one. Like, even though I don't care for these people particularly, I'm going to name them. I'm not a big Orange Cassidy fan. I don't like him. I don't like Michael Stunt because I think he's a low little twerp. I mean, even I could powerbomb him. You know, like with these guys, you know, they're giving them a platform to succeed and feel on their own merits, which is perfectly fine. And I'm actually glad that they're doing that. I just think that they should But if it's not working out, to say, look, we'll give you, like, let's say, X amount of money, but then you've got to try and go somewhere else because unfortunately we can't keep you. The sort of say if you go somewhere else and get trained up and then you get a bit of polish and find something that works, we'll bring you back. But I think the current way you're working isn't going to work for us because you're not drawing money. And the thing is, you're actually inhibiting guys. You're inhibiting Luchasaurus. I know that Cadet's not a big fan of Luchasaurus, but I think because he's a big one, he's one of the few big men in AEW. He has a unique thing. You know, it's him, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and the three big men in Wardlow. Well, actually, I like Wardlow more than the three that I named. To be honest with you, they can all bring really great money into that business, and I think that what AEW should also do is bring in guys who like aren't going to get that. So like there's loads of guys on the indie scene who have a load of talent who WWE just aren't picking up. So like bring in an Ospreay, bring in like I think WWE is going to get Ricochet. Bring him in, have them do their match, and you get busters because a lot of people won't watch that match.
You mentioned Orange Cassidy. AEW put out a clip and they're celebrating it on social media. I find it embarrassing as a fan. And it was the incident between him and Sting at Fyter Fest, where Orange Cassidy's got the hands in the pockets, he's throwing the fake kicks, and Sting also throws a fake kick of his own, and does that. And I was embarrassed watching that interaction. That just looks so ridiculous. I mean, you're pushing Sting as this legend, this icon, and he's reduced to doing things like that with Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, that pissed me off, to be honest. As somebody who's a massive Sting fan, that pissed me off. But something else that I hate in WWE, and I know we're trying to be negative, but is the lack of tag team wrestling. I love tag team wrestling. Like I like the Dudley Boys. I know these are for different eras, but like if I start naming tag teams that I love from WWE specifically, like the British Bulldogs, there's the Hart Foundation, the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian.
Strike Force, the Killer Bees.
Yeah, exactly.
Fabulous Rougeau brothers. And I'm not even taking the piss, boss man, because it mattered then. It really genuinely mattered.
But the thing is, the thing is now it's just a guy and a guy. The thing is that the Raw Tag Team Champions at the moment are AJ Styles, who I love to pieces. AJ's I think one of the 5 greatest wrestlers in the world today, even at 40, whatever, or how old he is. I mean, he's like 43, 44. I don't care. So that age is still phenomenal, but he's been paired with this guy who makes Braun Strowman look like Bam Bam Bigelow, and I'm not joking. Yeah, almost. I mean, the guy can't work. I mean, and I'm not being funny. I'm not being coy. I'm not being, trying to dig in the guy. Again, I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. He cannot work.
I'm thinking WWE right now only has 5 what you would call maybe proper tag teams, guys who are actually paired together and look like a genuine team. And one of them is on Raw, which is the New Day. Whereas on SmackDown, you've got the Street Profits, Chad Gable and Otis. You've got Dominic and Rey Mysterio and the Usos, and I can't think of any other teams.
See, the thing is that AEW's... Morrison and Ziggler, yeah. The thing is that AEW's tag team division is the same, unfortunately. Because, I mean, the Jungle Express, okay. The Young Bucks, okay, they're a tag team. Whether you like them or not, they're a tag team. FTR, they're a tag team. Actually, I could probably be more tag teams that are actually proper tag teams in AEW, to be honest with you. Who else? I think the Inner Circle do have a tag team. I'm not sure.
Proud and Powerful.
Yeah, Proud and Powerful. Then you got the Dark Order. They have a tag team. Again, the thing is that I like the Dark Order more than most, but I do think that they need to get in a bit better shape. And again, I even what's his name? The guy with the mask. He's even said like, I've slimmed down a lot, blah blah blah. I've tried to get into shape. Yeah. Because he does a lot of interviews. He said like, I wanted to get into shape, because I wanted to promote myself, to be the best version of me I could be. And it's like, all right, I can go behind that. And then, the Bucks are probably one of the best tag teams in the world today. I mean, I'm not going to say the best because again, that's subjective. But I do think. I don't really just disagree with what I just said, but I do think generally they work seamlessly as a tag team. It's not just two guys just doing single matches. It's actually actual trying to beat a team. Their team is beating that other team, which is what tag team wrestlers should be.
It's choreographed spots. I mean, the fact that there was a pay-per-view that I watched along with Ginger Greek, and we pointed out the fact that it was the Young Bucks against MJF and Chris Jericho. One of them hit one of the Bucks with a baseball bat and only got a 2 count. Wasn't even the finish.
Bloody hell, with a baseball bat.
Yeah, it was choreographed.
Only got 2.
And I'm sorry, they had the 2 best teams that they had in AEW were FTR, who they still have, and SCU, Daniels and Kazarian. And unfortunately, Daniels and Kazarian have split. So you've got FTR, and I really can't think who the hell you could put in the same category as FTR. I mean, the Young Bucks, again, it's acrobatics, it's no selling, it's awful promos, it's lack of psychology. There's nothing there that appeals to me at all when it comes to tag team wrestling. This is not watching a modern version of the Midnight Express versus the Rock and Roll Express or the Hart Foundation versus the Bulldogs.
Fair enough. Jose, I want to ask. Sorry, Jose. You don't watch AEW, yeah?
No, I don't.
You got all Max
I've
Bygrave on me.
into it, but if we're gonna, what?
Look, keep going.
You cut out. What'd you say?
No, it was you that cut out for the rest of us.
Yeah, with AEW, for me, I don't know if we're gonna get into the negatives now, but if we're going there. For me, I think one of the problems that I have, with just modern day wrestling in general is no storytelling, lack of psychology, moves being more important than character developing, storytelling. That's the reasons I can't get into AEW, and I've tried to get into it. But for me, I have that feeling of once I've seen one big match on one of those, I know what I'm going to see throughout the night, if that makes sense. If I watch the Young Bucks versus Private Party, and then I see Jungle Boy versus another cruiserweight guy that they have, I feel like I've seen everything I'm going to see as far as their show goes because of the way the style is now with having car crash style wrestling. That's cool every once in a while, but when you overdo it, it loses its luster.
But I would say that Cody Rhodes is one of the best because there are some really good workers in there, like Justin Rhodes, Cody Rhodes.
We're not saying they're not good workers in AEW, boss man. But you mentioned the Young Bucks, and you said that they're one of the best tag teams in the world. But I've disagreed with that, and it's again it's just pure acrobatics, the lack of psychology, storytelling, selling. The 50 super kicks a match. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's one of the things that really annoyed. That was one of the things that annoyed me about Ring of Honor. I mean, when Ring of Honor nearly drove me away as a fan when they had Davey Richards as world champion, because when they had the rematch for the world title between him and Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards had won the belt from Eddie Edwards. He was having the big rematch, and part of the story was that Eddie Edwards had got Dan Severn to teach him how to do the Dragon Sleeper to try and finish off Davey Richards. Add something new to his arsenal. The match between Edwards and Richards devolved into, I'm going to kick you in the head 50 times and not sell it. You're going to then kick me in the head 50 times and I'm not going to sell it. And it just exposed the business as being completely fake. And I again, this was what Ring of Honor put on pay-per-view as the main event for a world title. It really just it caused me to nearly just completely give up on the company.
I mean, as I said, the thing is that the way I see it is that, I mean, I agree with you a little bit that there is very little storytelling, but again, the fan base that they're going for isn't that the fan base that we are, unfortunately. Because I'm with you. I mean, I like storytelling in my wrestling.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think most fans like storytelling. That's when wrestling had the most fans, when it was engaged in things like storytelling, psychology, selling.
There's not many fans for them to to
Yep.
deal with it at the moment. You know, it's not,
No,
but
but
I just wanna
why are they not capturing a new audience? Why are they not
well,
reintroducing
well,
people to
I-
what
I-
pro wrestling used to be when it was actually popular?
Well, one of the reasons is like what cousin Cheeto just mentioned here. I should have put the belt on Shelton Benjamin in his prime. Like when you like WWE are the kings of missed opportunities, and when you saw Shelton Benjamin beat Triple H twice, you know, there was an
Triple H
opportunity to.
3 times.
Is he beaten 3 times? Fair enough, but by then, if
3
you're not going to
times,
do anything
yep.
with him, you know, then he ends up not being used at all. And it really pissed me off. You know, you got someone like Jack Swagger, who I actually really liked. I like Jack Swagger a lot. Guy's really talented. And just nothing. I love the way when he actually won the belt, he didn't even act like he was fucking happy. He just grabbed it and just went like, I loved it the way he won it. You know, all these little moments. And they just don't capitalize on it. Zack Ryder, you know, he pushed himself to the fucking moon. You know, he got really popular, but the WWE only likes to make people popular who they want, not who the fans want. And then they buried him, you know, like it was. They buried him. It's just, and like those are the things why people leave, boss man. Like people like me leave, people like Cheeto leaves because we're fed up with this shit. You know, like we're just fed up. Yeah, go on.
No, I mean I understand that, but the thing is with me is that, like, despite what Shredder was saying before, you know, that again the thing is I like storytelling in my wrestling. I love storytelling in my wrestling, and I think that's something that's lacking within both companies at the moment, in my personal opinion. I mean, the best long-time storyteller they're doing at the moment is Roman Reigns. That's within.
Yeah, but they've been shoving Roman Reigns down our throats.
But day one. Now it's now something different. Now he's a heel. Now
he's a heel.
Done it right. This is what he should have been from day one.
Yeah, but it should have been. But the point is that he's always been their champion. Yeah. He's always been their boy. You know what I mean? It's not like.
But now I care.
Yeah. Even so, like it's a bit bittersweet for me. Like it doesn't really matter too much. It's other people who people genuinely want, and they just don't give it to us because. And then then they wonder why they're losing. Don't give a fuck about what we want.
Well, it's like Cesaro. I mean, how many people have said they want to see him pushed to the top of the card? I mean, here's a guy who is a professional, and he speaks 4 languages.
I think more than that. 5 maybe.
Yeah, 5 languages. But yeah, he's somebody who you should be pushing as an international superstar. This is somebody you could send doing the tours of France. You know, of his homeland of Switzerland. I think he speaks German as well, doesn't he?
He speaks German, Italian, and French, I think.
German, Italian, and French, right? Okay.
Yeah, being Swiss, you pretty much have to speak all of those languages. You know what I mean? So
he's somebody who you could push as a big star in continental Europe, much like Bret Hart used to be in the early 90s.
Yeah, and the thing is that what AEW is doing at the moment with its top card, which is like pushing Kenny to the top, and I know that we're going to get into this in a moment, is that like what Kenny is, whether you like it or not, he is a good wrestler with the right guy. And again, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of pushback from what I'm about to say, because like you look at his matches with Okada, he's looking at matches with Naito, his matches with people like Jericho and people like that. He can have a good match with the right guy. But here in his own, I don't think he's the best at getting the best out of talent. He's a bit like Lex Luger in a way that he's a good hand with the right guy. Like,
did Lex Luger ever wrestle a 9-year-old child? Did Lex Luger ever wrestle a blow-up doll? Did Lex Luger ever wrestle in his underwear? Did Lex Luger ever have a match where he rubbed his crotch against a woman?
Lex Luger did a lot of shit. Trust me, like I remember the narcissist fucking gimmick. That was stupid. I could go into what the narcissist.
You're comparing the narcissist gimmick to all that stuff I mentioned that Kenny Omega has done, and there was
again. If you want me to, I'm not going to defend those. Those things were stupid. But again, those things were over 20 years ago, man. Live in the now.
No. They weren't over 20 years ago.
Yes,
You're going back maybe about 5 or 6 for some of them.
No,
and
2007 was 20 years ago. No. What?
No, 2010 was about 11 years ago. But you're going back to, in some of those cases, to about 2015, 2016 to some of that stuff he was doing.
I thought you said 2007.
No, you're going back to about 2015, 2016 for some of that stuff, like the match he had in a jungle where he was shooting off fireworks and he inserted an umbrella into another man's anus, that kind of thing. And again, I can't see this stuff and take Kenny Omega seriously as a world champion. To me, and particularly that match that he had, where he was rubbing his crotch against a woman, that makes me think this is just Joey Ryan without sexual assault allegations.
Okay, but the thing is that those matches were literally he had 3 matches with Okada that tore down the Tokyo Dome. He had about 4 or 5 matches with Naito, which were great. As I said,
Meltzer's the one that gave him 6 stars. I would much rather see a Walter versus Ilya Dragunov any day of the week. I'm gutted the fact that we're not going to get to see the rematch. That's been postponed because Walter's legitimately hurt his hand.
No, but as I said, but the thing is that it has nothing to do with Meltzer. It has nothing to do. It's the fact that I watched the matches. I would I'd sort of those matches because again, because the thing is, Kenny for me, as I said, has his good points and has his bad points. As I said, his bad points is that he needs another guy to elevate. The thing is, who they shove on the top of the tower is like a Ric Flair or a Sting or a Steamboat, somebody like that, somebody who elevates. That's why I'm thinking that a Jungle Boy should beat him for the belt, and then Jungle Boy should just go on a massive win streak. Because again, he's the name because he's Luke Perry's son. 2, he's very charismatic and stuff like that.
But unfortunately, he can't cut promos.
Sorry, I just want to interject here. Look, what Cousin Cheeto said, they had Samoa, freaking Joe, and
WWE had him, but unfortunately, he was very injury prone when he was working for them. I mean, how often was he on the shelf? Or he had that wellness suspension as well.
Yeah, it's just a shame. I mean, there were moments when I thought they could have used him a bit better. From what I saw when I was going a bit voyeurism and stuff like that and watching WWE from afar, I noticed Joe was in there. One of the best promos I've ever heard in WWE was him cutting it on Jeff Hardy, and just he was full on heel on Jeff Hardy, talking about his drug habits and stuff like that. Such a superb promo. I fucking ate it up. It was so good. He's so talented.
Oh yeah,
and once again, it's just
the confrontation between Joe and Brock. That was huge.
And also, on a serious note, this is one of the things that is the most annoying, where I have 2 conflicting opinions about the same person. I so want to like Jon Moxley because he's a badass. He comes across as a badass. He speaks like a badass. He looks like a little bit like a bad guy, the sort of guy who would kick your ass from the gym, if you're in the bar with him. But he's into that flaming XPW flaming shove each other through flaming inanimate object shit that I cannot stand.
Jon Moxley is the Shawn Michaels of deathmatch wrestling. That's how I look at him.
Don't even dignify it by calling it wrestling, Zam. There were a couple more positives I did want to bring up. I mean, again, I don't want people just thinking this is completely negative and we're going to bash Kenny Omega all night or we're going to bash AEW or WWE. There's 2 more positives I can think of, and they do relate to WWE. One of them is probably going to be a bit of a Marmite thing with you guys. I am actually a big fan of WWE's Performance Center. Now, the reason I say that is because they're making sure that the guys that they get off the indies, so the guys that they take off the independent circuit that have been working strong style in Japan, that have been working for a numerous independent promotions, that they just get the final polishing and, that they, before they come up to the main roster and lose some of those bad habits. I mean, you've got Norman Smiley, you've got Lance Storm, Robbie Brookside, Sarah Stocks, Sarah Del Rey, Matt Bloom, Scotty Tuhati, William Regal, etc. If you can't learn the fundamentals of those guys, then you don't belong in the business. And you can mention guys like Lars Sullivan making it to TV, yet unfortunately they do want the occasional freak show in like Lars. But you look at guys like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, you compare them to when they worked at Ring of Honor and how they work at NXT. It's night and day. Same with Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. These guys all got some final polishing. They got rid of some of the bad habits they had in the independent circuit. And, they became more rounded and more well-polished workers before they made their TV debut in WWE. So I think the Performance Center does deserve credit for that.
So what Ginger Greek says made me laugh. Moxley is a try-hard. He tries to be a badass, but comes across as a desperate fuckwit.
I agree.
I agree,
Just before we go further, though, my final positive that I wanted to bring up is with regard to concussions, which I think I could only really give this one to WWE. I can't give it to AEW, and that's because I think WWE definitely treats concussions and injuries a lot more seriously than they used to in the past. I don't know if you guys remember the triple threat. I think it was SummerSlam 2000, Kurt Angle, Triple H, and The Rock. Kurt Angle wound up concussed in that match. He got taken to the back.
Yeah,
he
when
had to
he-
do a little segment with Stephanie McMahon, and then he had to come out and finish the match. Now, because of what we know now about how badly something can go wrong with a guy who's concussed, that wouldn't happen anymore. He'd be taken out of the match completely, or they would just stop the match entirely.
You want to answer
No,
that question,
again-
Shred?
Can't see that from AEW.
Cousin Cheetah's got a question here.
Who's running a performance center nowadays? It's Matt Bloom.
Matt Bloom. Why does that name sound familiar? Is he?
It
a
is
wrestler?
Albert.
Prince
Tensai.
Albert.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah. So,
Oh yes.
but
I like
yeah,
him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, as I said, like
That Tensai gimmick was
I did
stupid.
shit the bed when they let Hardy wrestle when he was smashing the head of the concrete. That really sold things. Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
good bit.
absolutely. That's why I'm saying I can't give the concussion and injury thing to AEW, because not only did AEW let Matt Hardy continue after the referee had already thrown up the X sign when he smashed his head on concrete, but you had what was it, Alex Reynolds out cold in the middle of the ring. They just dragged him to the side and kept running spots.
But I'd also to another positive, the John Huber tribute show was one of the best wrestling shows I've seen in quite some time.
Oh, absolutely. That they got that right. I would say AEW
That was absolutely
put on
perfectly
probably probably one of the best tribute shows ever done. I mean, I would probably rank that up there with the two tribute shows that WWE did to Eddie Guerrero.
Because the thing is that I found it hard getting through that, and not in a bad way, but in a good way. Because the thing is that when what's his name, the guy with the beard, what's his name now? I forget his
Eric
name.
Rowan.
No. The small guy, the Johnny John something, John Silver. Sorry, brain just went. When he did the Colorado, I did the pin and then literally like crewed up because he was crying so hard. I was just like that was so hard to get through. And then like the way that they were telling stories about John Huber throughout the show, and telling all these like this thing again. The things about John Huber I did not know. It was like. I hate saying that anything was quote unquote perfect, but if you want a perfect tribute, that was it. I mean, that was just like that was them knocking it out of the park.
Absolutely. That was a positive, but I'm thinking more just in general, some of the major positives in the business. But yeah, AEW, that tribute show was beautiful. It was up there, I would say, with the two, the Raw and SmackDown episodes that they dedicated to Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
Sam, if you ever want,
if anybody else has got any positives though about the business in general, then I would like to hear them.
I'm saying that the way that AEW is treating the guys who are legends in the business, the way it treats Jake, the way it treats Arn Tully, the way it treats Sting, the way it treats, it's a lot better than the way WWE does it, where they're just there to be there. They're just there to just basically wipe their ass.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Because because the thing is, like, Jake has had these problems, but I do like the way that they use it.
I think also, but still, I look at it more like DDP. Are you talking about Jake the Snake Roberts? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, all my credit goes towards DDP.
No, I do have to give credit to AEW because Jake had been suffering some lung issues. I think about 6-7 months ago, which he found out it was not COVID. But it was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that his dad had, and I think his granddad had suffered from it too. And he'd aggravated it by being a heavy smoker for so many years. Jake was having to do an interview while on oxygen, but AEW took care of him, took care of his medical bills.
I see, yeah, fair enough. I guess
so I've got to get the right
thing. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I want to wrap this up now, guys. Anything more you want to say? I'll start with you, Jose.
Well,
yeah, I think overall, just as far as the state of the business goes, I mean, things got to change, and obviously in WWE, time will tell if they do. Glad that the fans are back. That's a positive. I'm glad that they're back. I'm glad that we're getting crowds again. Unfortunately, I fear as far as one of the negatives go, it's going to be back to an audience of one, like it is on Monday Night Raw currently. It's only a matter of time before WWE goes back to that completely. As far as AEW goes, they got to, stop focusing so much on the matches and moves and really focus more on the character and story development. And then maybe I'll get back into it, but time will tell.
Boss man.
I think the booking in both shows needs to vastly improve. I think that what AEW needs to do is what Jose just said, was stop concentrating on doing like 55 million slits or 550 splashes, and just concentrate about because you could make a headlock and people will explode if people are invested in the actual people involved. And I think that's the mindset they've got to get into now. I mean, it's probably going to be hard because they're in the mindset of, people will care if we do like 450 splashes and flaming things to outside. But when every match starts outside, you lose the specialness, you lose the intensity of what that could. Because I guarantee you do like 5 or 6 matches inside and then one goes outside, that's going to be a noticeable change. So this is why the booking's got to change in both companies anyway.
I want to quickly bring up something. You mentioned earlier, Sam, the comparison of AEW to WCW, and I actually made a list of some things that remind me so much about if AEW running like WCW. They're using a money mark, and they're run by somebody who has no clue really how to book wrestling, despite the Observer giving Tony Khan Booker of the Year. They've turned off casual fans with nonsense, and we mentioned earlier the fact that they're booking Nick Gage, the bank-addicted drug robber, to compete on Dynamite next week against Chris Jericho. Now, I know some fans are going to tune in to watch that just to see if Nick Gage goes off script and, punctures one of Jericho's lungs or slits his throat or something. I'm personally not going to do it because I remember you, Zam, and Bossman both had a debate for Wrestling Revolution about the merits of TNA, and Bossman had the opinion of you need to watch TNA no matter how bad it is, just so you're promoting, just so you're supporting another company. I don't want AEW thinking that this is acceptable. I hate the deathmatch wrestling. I don't want them thinking because they pop a rating with Nick Gage that we are going to fans are going to tune in and watch this again. I don't want them thinking, okay, well, we need to keep booking this guy. Much like WCW, AEW has failed to deliver on promises. I mean, there was the exploding ring. There was the cage match where Jericho landed on a crash pad. So again, they put on these big promises and failed to deliver. I mean, you want to pinpoint the downfall of WCW, Starrcade 97. Fans had invested all this time and effort into Sting versus the NWO, and what do they finish it with? Hogan winning clean. And then, oh, no, referee actually made a fast count when, it was as slow as you'd like. Also, much like WCW, AEW are signing up people, whether or not they deserve it, to big deals, 6-figure contracts. WCW signed Randy Savage's brother, Lanny Poffo, to a $250,000 contract. He never wrestled a fucking match for them. They brought Iron
Genius.
Yeah, they brought Iron Sheik in for $100,000. He was so fucking rotten in the ring. He was that beaten up and broken down. He was that rotten that they sent him home. And then they decided, well, we're paying Sheik all this money. Let's bring him in and have him do jobs. Iron Sheik was more than willing to do them, but he was so bad at it, they sent him home again. His contract then rolled over. He got another $100,000, and he stayed at home. Didn't do anything. AEW, meanwhile, are signing up guys that no serious promotion would want to touch. Somebody like Joey Janela, who is apparently proud that he, is untrained, that he never went to wrestling school. Jack Evans, who's a botch monkey, who's injured so many guys in that roster now. And there's so many other guys that people who have never heard of and were not on any major promotions radar, and they're now getting 6 figures from AEW. It makes absolutely no goddamn sense. I mean, Daniel Bryan, or Brian Danielson, whatever you want to call him, is allegedly, it's the Uncle Dave School of Journalism. Plans may change, but he's allegedly going to sign to AEW. I give it a year, and he's potentially going to be crippled. If he's working against the likes of Janela or Jack Evans, there's no fucking way. The way AEW treats its wrestlers, the way AEW books untrained talent, the way AEW has allowed matches to continue when guys have been hurt, no fucking way. This can't happen. And I'm sorry, I desperately do not want to see Bryan Danielson sign up to AEW unless he has full creative control in his contract that says, hey, I'm only working this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. You are not putting me in the ring with these untrained monkeys.
Well, and
also, here's another thing: releases. How many people do AEW regularly release to build? You know, they're expanding their roster constantly. How often do you hear about guys getting released? The last 3 I can remember: Matt Cardona, because his contract wasn't picked up. He was on like an 8-week deal. They decided not to renew him. Ivelisse Velez, because she couldn't apparently work professionally with Thunder Rosa. And Jimmy Havoc, because he got named during Speaking Out. How many guys have been let go from AEW? And you talk about WWE stockpiling wrestlers. But that's that was my list regarding AEW and the comparisons to WCW.
Go on, boss man.
But I would say that I agree on one thing. I personally think that Michael Stone and Orange Cassidy shouldn't be in the ring. I mean, Joey Janela, I'm sure he appeals to some fan that, again, I'm not. Again, he doesn't. Again, as far as I'm aware, he just does that hardcore deathmatch shit, which I have zero interest or care for. Jack Evans, again, I don't recall any matches that he's done personally. So, but I'm sure that but wasn't he the one who injured Ricky Starks? Or was that someone else? I can't remember.
That was Adam Page who got injured against. He was supposed to do a spot. Adam Page was in a German suplex, and Ricky Starks was supposed to flip out, land on his feet. He landed on his neck. He continued the match, but it was only afterwards it was discovered he actually broke his neck during that spot.
But I do know that there are people who injure people on that roster, like as I said, like, you know, people who've not really been trained properly. And the thing is that there's some people who get petted with don't be trained properly, like, you know, like Omega gets put with that when he has been. And the thing is that, I mean, but I do agree with you that there's people on that roster who do not need to be there. Like, as I said, go on.
No, I just want to quickly add regarding Nick Gage and Jericho. I want to quickly say this before I forget. I don't actually think Nick Gage would do any. Oh, actually, I'll take that back. I think if Nick Gage did try to do something, he's got an entire roster who would probably want to kill him. If he did do something to Jericho being a legend.
But I personally believe, and this is just my belief, I mean, this is based on nothing. I barely believe that Moxley is the one who went to bat for him.
I agree.
He went to bat for him in Dark Side of the Ring.
I agree with that.
And afterwards, he went to bat for him, saying, "I want to work a match against Nick Gage." So, no, I completely see Moxley going to bat for him. I think Jericho has probably wanted to do it as well because he's the one that narrated the episode of Dark Side of the Ring. So he's probably gone up and said, hey, I want to show how tough I am and wrestle Nick Gage. Now, again, I think it was completely stupid, the idea of booking Nick Gage. And also, even if you're going to book this guy, right, why have him just debut from the stage and just say, okay, well, this is going to happen next week. And then later on in the program, Jericho has the Painmaker, all that Painmaker stuff on. He just brought it with him to TV. It's ridiculous. I mean, why was there not... I would have done a 2 or 3 week build if you were going to bring in, like... I wouldn't have brought in Nick Gage for one, but if I was going to have MJF bring in some hired mercenary to take out Chris Jericho, I'd be doing, you know, like a 3 week build with this at least. First night, he attacks Jericho. He doesn't come out on the stage. He attacks Jericho. He gets taken away in fucking handcuffs. Not T-shirt security. Cops with guns drawn. Handcuffs. He's taken out of the building. AEW announces they're pressing charges for trespassing. Jericho's going to press charges for assault. Next week, MJF have him come out, cut a promo saying, I bailed the guy out. He did me a huge favor. But here's the thing, Chris, if you want to face him, you're going to have to drop the charges and agree to face him one-on-one in a no-rules match. That's the only way you're getting him in the ring.
Sounds like a good story. He should be fucking writing.
Couple weeks, again,
scripts,
Tony Khan, if he's got the money or if he's got the relationship with New Japan, if they want to do the Painmaker stuff, okay, get the footage, put a highlight package together of the Painmaker so that we know who he is. You tell your audience who is the Painmaker.
Fair enough.
But I am going to say this, right? I'm going to say this. If I see footage of Chris Jericho being pushed through light tubes or having rusty nails put through him or anything like that, I'm going to think less of Chris Jericho.
Oh, God, absolutely.
I love Chris Jericho. He's my third greatest favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah, I personally think he needs to.
I think he needs to retire.
I think he needs to retire and also cut that fucking hair, man.
He needs to lose some weight. That's
Honestly.
what he needs to do. I mean, the guy's a very short guy anyway. He needs to lose some weight.
No, but the hair doesn't look good on him, man. Like he looks better. Honestly, he looks like one of my mate's aunties. He looks absolutely awful. You know, with that long hair, it just doesn't work. I mean, I think long hair, the older you get, just doesn't work as well. I think you should chop it. I think he looks better with short hair. I've seen him with short hair anyway. And those things are just so insignificant, regardless.
But the thing is that I want to support Chris Jericho because I love Chris Jericho. As I said, the line taper and all that sort of stuff. I love it. Like, you know, him doing the line salt, all that sort of stuff. But I think he needs to lose some weight. You know, like I know that as you get older, it's harder to do that. But you know, the thing is, man, like you're a professional wrestler, you should be looking like that.
My question is, Gary, are you going to watch this freak show on Wednesday? I know you're a Jericho fan. Are you going to watch the Nick Gage match?
I'm going to force myself to watch it.
Okay,
Yeah,
but I say this now. I say this now with no equivocation. If I see Chris Jericho being pushed through light tubes and maybe rusty nails shoved in there, I'm going to think lost in Chris Jericho. He's going to go down the list.
Well, guys, let's just force ourselves to finish this round
Okay.
table. It's been an excellent first edition of the Wrestling Roundtable. Are we back next week? I have no idea.
Probably not. I'm working Sunday night, so I don't think I'll be available for that one. But if you guys want to continue, be my guest.
Ginger Greek will be live streaming it. I believe the match between
The Nick Gage match. Yeah.
Nick Gage.
Ginger, do you want to do like it? I think together with it.
I'll watch along.
Yeah.
Is it a pay-per-view match? Is it a pay-per-view?
No, it's Dynamite.
It's Dynamite.
Okay, fair enough. I'm surprised. I mean, they didn't pay-per-view interesting, but good.
Yeah,
good
you would have thought no DQ match, pay-per-view, the idea that TNT are not going to air this because it's going to be so violent, whatever, but hey-ho.
Fair enough. Well, let's wrap it up. First of all, Jose, as you keep coming in and out, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully, you'll be back for the next one, mate. It's been good fun. Gary, thanks very much again. And the wealth of knowledge that is Shredder, thank you very much too. This has been a lot of fun. And we hope to see you guys soon. But don't forget, NerdTube, we have a variety of stuff. We're not just about wrestling. We're all nerdy things when it comes to pop culture, MCU, DC, Star Wars, Star Trek, and everything in between as wrestling as well. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to us. We are the greatest YouTube channel you have never heard of. Thank you very much. See you later. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.
Cheerio.
Peace out.
I think we're still live, guys.
All right.
Sam, we're still live.
Yeah, press the wrong button. Sorry, guys. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.